Welcome back to the Presidential Detailing channel and the Obsessed Garage GT3 series. I got to remember to look at the lens, not the screen, because I noticed in some of my other footage I was like looking off to the side of the camera, so it's a little bit weird. Still learning the new camera though. It's pretty awesome. I'm really enjoying it, so hopefully the quality will come through for you guys. So Ryan actually did all the clear bra. We use STEK film, full car wrap on the GT3, and then we're going to be applying Gtechniq HALO, the Gtechniq glass coatings on the exterior. So we'll show you guys how the HALO is being applied, and Matt will be wrapping up the end of the video on his channel. Alright, so first step is we're going to have to wipe down the car. We like to use a mixture of alcohol. We use 91% alcohol, but we mix that down with distilled water, mostly just because the alcohol by itself doesn't actually remove very much. We found that if you mix it with, dilute it down with water a little bit, it actually will pull off any water spots from when they're spraying the car down with the PPF solution. So while he's wiping the car down, I'll go ahead and get the coating ready. We're using Gtechniq HALO. So we got that here. This is a 50 ml bottle. Should get us pretty easily through two to three coats. We're also going to be applying Gtechniq Crystal Serum Ultra and EXO. Some of these carbon pieces, his door jambs. On a white car especially, it makes a huge difference when you're cleaning the car. Pile of towels here, make it easy when we're actually in the middle of coating. I like to fold them in squares because I can easily keep track of them in my head. So when it's folded like this, I can do my initial wipe with this side, flip it over, get a second wipe with this side. Generally that'll be like one panel, and then I can fold it inside out, do like a third wipe, and then I can use that as my first wipe on the next panel, go to this side, and then you still have a whole nother side of the towel and you can do it all over again. So you can get quite a few uses out of one towel. I do that mostly to keep costs down because we like to use the nicer expensive towels. I find that they level the coatings a little bit better, and then we use the Pluffles from Matt for like the alcohol wiping and bead maker also. Those are really the two main towels that we use other than the drying microfibers. We don't use really any of the cheaper ones except for maybe for like engine bays or fender liners or dirty work like that. We'll start with these four. We got our pad, HALO, and we'll get started. 73 degrees, 40% humidity, and we'll get it down to 70 here pretty soon. Just makes it nice for the coating application. I don't know how hot it is. It's probably what, 95 degrees or something out there already? Let's see how hot it is. There we go. You're 95 right. Degrees. We'll start on the rear quarter panel. I like to open the door so I don't get overlap. Same thing with the trunk here. We'll try to open that so we don't get overlap into there. It just keeps things kind of tidy. Do a nice little initial pre-soak here. You don't want it to be super thin, otherwise you'll get some streaking. Get a nice stripe down the center, create your work area, find the edges, and then I just work the panel. The big thing with these coatings is you want to stay within your reach. You don't want to get too far along and get ahead of yourself, because then time runs out and you're left with a big mess or some high spots and you got to repolish. This is on film, so you don't really want to polish on it if possible. Usually let it set for 10 or 15 seconds and then I'll wipe it immediately after that. So we got our first layer, first side of the towel. Circular patterns. I try to keep it from pushing over onto other panels or glass, trim, things like that. So that's kind of the first initial wipe. We'll flip the towel over. So you want to keep an eye out for your glass over here because it's easy to push. Same thing with the trim. Gotta watch your head on the wing. Ask me how I know. The halo is actually working quite well on the STEK film. Pretty happy with it. Very clear, has a lot of clarity. Very little orange peel and texture. So I think Matt's gonna be real happy with this. And basically by adding halo, even though this film has its own top layer coating built into it, the halo will just increase the kind of boost that slickness and the water behavior on the surface to make it even easier. And I'm sure Matt will put B-Maker on top of that. Alright, so that whole quarter panel is done. We'll move on to the door. I'll grab a light and check over the work. Get that on the bright setting. It's at 4500 Kelvin. The screen grip light is really helpful, especially if you're like in a mobile environment. It's really nice to, it's got like a nice broad light pattern, so it's really great for even doing this. It looks good. So we'll move on to the next panel. We just picked up these power cords from Matt, and we're really liking them. It makes a big difference, especially when we're pulling around these lights. They tend to pull out. Like we have a nice fancy robo reel, which is pretty sweet actually, but the plugs, you know, when you pull the tripods around, the plug falls out. So maybe we'll try to modify that thing like Matt did on his Cox reel. And these light stands we just made using some photography equipment. It's just like a light stand, little light points here. These are all just kind of clamped on. And then some nice bulbs, you know, 5000K. They work pretty well for us. We still use the scan grips when we're doing paint correction now, just because it's easier to roll them around because they have the rolling tripods and no wires, battery operated. But these work well for multiple light sources, light points. It's really great for coating, so we can get light from the top and the bottom. Sorry for the creaky chair. Probably should have done this on our lift, but you know how me and Matt roll, we like to do things the hard way. I'm just going to be nice and thorough with this. If you look close, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, it's kind of beaten up on itself. You'll see it's kind of rejecting the coating a little bit. We're used to that when we use crystal serum and exo. Exo will kind of beat up on top of the serum a little bit, so you just got to keep working it in, get it kind of flattened down, and that will be, you'll know when you're ready to stop. Big area that a lot of people miss is inside of these door cups. You'll kind of push the coating down in there. If you just go like this and just leave it, more than likely you're going to leave a high spot in there. So you just got to go in there a few times. Usually once I'm done wiping the main panel, I'll take my finger in a single, layer it up single and push it in there. Same thing with the windshield, a lot of glass. Nearly impossible to not overlap onto it. So you just got to be really diligent about getting these extra little pieces, even down here on this glass, even though we weren't really that close to it. You can still get some overlap and you'll create a high spot on the glass that you'll have to come back and fix later. So now we just got to finish getting the bottom of this rocker panel here. We'll come back and do the trim here with Crystal Serum Ultra. So we did do film on the headlights. I know Matt talked about that in his removal video. There is a high chance of delaminating the headlight if you ever pull it off. So a lot of times people will kind of recommend against that, against putting the film on the headlights. My theory is that if you don't put film on the headlights and you're driving down the highway or the road, or if you're tracking the car, they're going to get destroyed, they're going to get pitted, and then it's irreversible damage. So my thought is put the PPF on, keep your headlights looking like brand new, and if they do happen to pull off the laminate when you go to remove the film down the road, it's easier to sand this and re-clear it than it is to buy a whole new headlight. Like now I'm talking about this thing is $3,500. And when you're coating a fender or the hood, especially in this area here, you're almost always going to get something on the glass. So that's a pretty common spot. So you always want to check there. It's better if you can catch it early. So I always just, it's by habit, I'm always checking that glass in that corner. I'll do like one side of the car with the same pad so it stays primed and nice. When I get to the other side of the car, I'll flip the pad over. I'm actually using my finger pressure to push that edge into this kind of these cracks and crevices. Got both sides of the car done. Now we're going to do the carbon roof. Then we'll jump on the hood. Probably do the wing after that, and then we got the front and rear bumpers. That'll be it for the first round. Then we'll do another coat. We'll probably wait an hour between the coats, just let it set up a little bit. I don't think you have to wait, but I generally like to, just to make sure we don't have any issues. So we'll keep going on the rest of the car. So we're going to be using G1 Clear Vision and G2, which is just the remover. So you apply this first, you wait 15 minutes, then you use this to wipe it off. We do one coat on the side and rear glass, and then 3 coats on the windshield. I don't really like using these applicators, so again we'll be using the microfiber applicator. Less fatiguing on your hands. It's a pain in the butt to hold one of these and put the pressure on for an entire car, so it just makes it a little more efficient. Start with the windshield. Just want to make sure we have good full coverage. Alright, so that's all the side and back glass. We'll get another coat on the windshield, wait a couple minutes, and then we'll do our third coat. Alright, so G2 is next. This is the residue remover. So you'll need this to get the G1 off. It is a little bit tricky. Even with this, you'll find there's going to be some haze to it, so I usually follow it up with like a pluffle towel and eraser, something very mild that's not going to strip anything off. This basically goes on exactly the same as G1. So all it does is, the G1's kind of crunchy feeling. So this will just kind of. You really need a lot of direct lighting for this. Like the normal overhead lights aren't really going to show you everything. So that's why we have these lights set up so we can see exactly what's going on. So when you pull the car outside, you don't see all these streaks. Alright, so now I got a new pluffle. I'm gonna grab the eraser. So if you don't have one of these, you need to get one. Another one of Matt's little genius trinkets. I'm sure there's a setup time, so I wouldn't recommend using any harsh chemicals or soaps on it. Probably at least 12 hours or so. The eraser is practically like water, so I found it to be the best use for that. It's not a super slick feeling, like the paint coatings. For several months now I haven't washed mine, and it still beads up every morning when the dew sets on it. So it is pretty durable without, even with the abuse of not washing it frequently. As you can see, it's already beating up pretty well, and it hasn't even set up yet. Alright, so we've done our first coat of Halo. We did G1 on the exterior glass. We're going to do our second coat of Halo now. Then we still got to do Crystal Serum Ultra on the door jambs, the carbon in the trunk, or in the rear engine compartment area. And we're going to be doing the plastics on the interior front trunk. That will pretty much wrap it up. I'm sure we'll find some little small details. But we'll get going on the second application of Halo, and we'll wrap it up for the evening. Alright, so we're going to be doing Crystal Serum Ultra on the door jambs. This is what really makes your car stand out. Smooth as butter. We'll get the actual door as well. Alright, that completes that side. We'll do the passenger side now, and then we'll move on to the rear trunk area. Alright, so these plastics are a little bit more porous, so we're going to use EXO on this. It just soaks in a little bit better, where Ultra would kind of just splash away too quickly. I'm going to give it a wash now just to get the dust off of it, because it's been sitting here for a couple of days. And then the transport truck's on its way here now, so Matt will hopefully be getting this car in a few hours.